Gee, where's the coffee cup? Color Guppies, good morning. How are you? Oh, mice. Court of Conquest, J Dog, D3V, Lee, Lisa, J Dog. Yelp, I haven't looked at Yelp. Morning, Tisha. Uh, David Piper. All right. How's everybody this morning? Let's see. We're going to do
When I find myself in times of take trouble, for the fish who comforts me.
You Roxanne this morning.
Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my time of darkness, He is streaming right in front of me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Atom sand and let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let it be. When all the broken-hearted fishes living in the tank agree, there is an answer, let it be. For though it may be cloudy, there is still a chance that they can see. There is an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Add some sand and let it be. There is an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Add some sand and let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let it be.
Nice. Thank you, Roxanne. Well, tell you the truth, Lee, I got a problem and I don't know quite what to do about it. I mean, Roxanne is a takeoff on a Beatles song, but she's not using any of the original recording. She's just using the tune and putting her own words to it. So I don't know quite where that's at. Um, your piece, however, uses original copyrighted work. The music background is original copyright material. So I at least would get a share and might get a strike. So I'm concerned about it. I think if you wouldn't mind doing it without the background music, I'd be happy to use it. I think moving forward, these need to be original tunes. YouTube is so peculiar about music. I've had I haven't had any strikes yet, but this is probably a place where I could get one. Um, I think moving forward, we need to do original music and original words. Um, I feel comfortable with Roxanne's. I don't feel comfortable using your recording. I love the words. I love the what you've done with the lyrics. But I listened to the original last night, and it's got the original soundtrack. So I just I don't think I can get away with that. So anyway, take that to heart, please. Lee, you're talking about your plans. Oh, here come my fish. I have an order of fish in this morning. I need to write a check here for it. Oh dear. Let me get up here and write a check. Give you guys a chance to meet Sean. Sean's the driver for my delivery. Hey, Sean. Hey, why can't I get this thing focused? There we go. Honestly. How are you? That's Andy. Find my checkbook. There we go. All right, I guess.
Oh, yeah? What's that, your little security camera now?
No, I'm on live broadcast.
Oh, okay.
Got about 25 plugged in right now. It'll get up to about 50.
And what's the live broadcast for?
It's I do it every day, 8 to 10 o'clock on YouTube on my Father Fish channel,
Oh, okay.
and it's it's a fish thing. People call in or come in and ask questions about fish-related stuff and meet and greet each other. There's a lot of friends come on, so it's kind of fun. If you're ever home in the morning,
You do it 7 days a week, or?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's from 8 to 10?
8 to 10, right?
Okay.
On YouTube, Father Fish channel. 9, is that right?
9,
9, 8.
9, 8. Can't get over, it's almost 9, 11.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Okey-dokey.
Alrighty, down the
Safe.
road.
Have a good day.
We got us trucks today. I was over Merritt Island last week. It's transmission back.
Oh, my word. Wow.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.
Yeah. All right. We got fish today. I need to do an unboxing. That's interesting. Huh. I never noticed that before. There's a button right at the top of the screen that shows the number of live viewers and how long we've been live. Isn't that interesting? So today I got some assorted large angels, including some cobalt blues. I got a free Apisto Nescensi, a Nescensi cichlid female Apisto. Got a box of feeder guppies, a box of feeder comets, 25 assorted platies, 25 assorted mollies. And that's it. That's what I got today. So, anyway, coffee. Lord, I need coffee. Okay, so I'm sending out. Coffee's good. Thank you, Terry. Made a fresh pot. Sending out some cups, some mugs today. There we go. Father Fish mug going out. Got 2 of them going out today, I think. Maybe 3. I think I'm down to 2, but I've ordered another 10, so I'm going to be able to do some more of them. So Lee's plants have gone wild again. He wants to trim them back. It is a little thick in there, I got to admit. The Vallisneria, I don't recommend you cut it. If you want to thin it, pull some out and move them over to the other tank. The Kabamba Anacris, whatever it is, Anacris, I guess. That's a good one to trim. You can trim it. Don't trim it low, trim it high. And then again, plant the trimmings. You probably aren't going to want to plant them in your 50, so move them over move them over to the other tank. So unfortunately, you don't have an outdoor space to be able to do a tub. And this would be an ideal opportunity to do a tub. J-Dog, you're putting antibiotics in to fight blackbeard algae. That doesn't make any sense to me. Antibiotics, number one, are not going to affect blackbeard algae. It's a plant. It's not a bacteria or a virus or any such thing. It's a plant. And will antibiotics mess with CO2 level? Yeah, they will. It'll mess with a lot of other things too. It'll mess with the biology of the system, and it could kill your it could kill your biological life in the system. I mean, it's a dangerous thing to use. You don't want to use it trivially. You certainly don't. If I'm getting what you're saying, you're using it for blackbeard algae. Whoever put you onto that needs to have a baseball bat put upside their head. I mean, that ain't right. That just ain't right. Talk to me some more about that, J-Dog. High-rise window cleaner has a 549 super sticker. Thank you so much, High-Rise. I appreciate you. Appreciate the donation. Every little bit helps. These are these live streams. I make an average of 25 cents on a live stream. A total of 25 cents on a live stream. So the super stickers are kind of a big deal. Anybody who wants to be supportive, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to make a donation, a regular donation to Patreon. I've got a few Patreon people now. I think I've got 8 or 9 Patreon subscribers who give regularly to my channel. And it's a big help. It allows me to cover some of the costs of this process. It's actually been fairly expensive doing this, but it's a great joy to do it, so it's something I'm excited about. Let's see. Ches Ballington. Rhett's here. Massey report. Oh, he used antibiotics to fight a disease, and now he has blackbeard. I got you. Well, the blackbeard, if you simply add more plants, do water changes, do some regular water changes. You want to get not only the antibiotics, but get the nitrates out of your water. It's typically nitrates and phosphates that bring on blackbeard. So, take care of that. Do some water changes, and add plants. Get more plants going in there. That'll challenge. Excuse me. That will compete with the blackbeard, and by reducing nitrates, you'll be taking away the nutrition that blackbeard needs in order to be able to survive. So, but don't be upset about blackbeard. It's not anything that's in any way dangerous or even a problem. You can control it simply by controlling the nutrition it receives. It requires nutrition in the water column, so if you have a deep substrate and do some substantial water changes, it's going to reduce that nitrate and phosphate level down to near zero, and your rooted plants will still be able to thrive. Excuse me, I need to close the window here. I need to take a break. I need to go dump these fish. I don't want to let them sit in the bag for 2 hours. If you give me about 5 minutes, get these fish in the tanks. Cassie B. Right. Cassie B is talking about to Roman Chirac about how to use PayPal. David Piper, if you'll donate $25, David, to Fatherfish at fatherfish.net, Fatherfish at fatherfish.net on PayPal, include your address and at least the word mug. I'll be happy to send one out to you, and I will pay the shipping on it. Oh, Minaj, nice to see you. Thank you again, High Rise. Oh, I see. Read that antibiotics mess with CO2 levels, which is the main cause of Blackbeard. Well, CO2 is not a main cause of Blackbeard. You know, CO2 is the main cause of plant growth, all plant growth. Blackbeard simply being one of an unlimited number of plants that grow in CO2 or with CO2. So it doesn't cause it any more than it causes any other plant to grow. But it is a good idea to do water changes. Whenever you're doing any kind of medication in your tank, do it for, number one, don't do it. If you've got a deep sand bed system, don't treat with antibiotics or virtually any other kind of harsh medication, because the danger is that you can kill the entire biological system in your tank and turn it into a fetid swamp. Not a good thing. If you must, if it's critical, if you've got something in there you simply cannot get rid of otherwise, by removing the infected species and treating them separately, then treat for as limited an amount of time as possible. Treat as minimally as possible, and do substantial water changes at the end of that process to get the medication out of the system entirely. I think it's always a good idea to treat any kind of medication, particularly in a closed biological system, as a last resort. And a good example is ick. Ick is a very common parasite. It occurs all over the world. It's endemic everywhere. And it pops up when least expected. I get it occasionally in the middle of the summer. I don't get it in heated tanks. I get it in tanks where the temperature will drop from 85 to 80, uh, perhaps overnight, which you would not think would be much of an issue. But there's some fish that are simply very delicate and very susceptible to the parasite. The rice fish is one such example. Rice fish, in my experience, are extremely susceptible to ick. Having said that, they're also very, very easy to cure. The temperature cure, driving the temperature up to 86 degrees, letting it sit there for 2 days, and then bringing it back to normal, say 82 or so, gets rid of the ick entirely. It's just gone. Ick is a cold water parasite. It cannot tolerate warm temperatures above 85 degrees. It's the simplest thing in the world to get rid of. The difficulty with ick is that if you don't get rid of it, its life cycle is such that it produces 100-fold every 48 hours. So in 2 days, one becomes 100. 2 days later, 100 become 10,000, and your fish are dead by day 5 or 6. So it's critical to see it and to deal with it. But again, the way you deal with it is by raising the temperature. You don't need any medication. Medication really doesn't help, and half the time doesn't work. And it won't work consistently. Temperature will work absolutely consistently. There was somebody not long ago, 6 months ago or so, on YouTube who was fighting ick, kicked the temperature up, and couldn't get rid of it. And they were just over the moon over this problem. They were so upset about it, kept losing fish. They finally realized it wasn't ick. It was something else, but it wasn't ick. 86 degrees kills ick. Does it with absolute consistency. It is a law of nature. You can get rid of it very easily. But if you don't get rid of it very easily, it's going to kill every fish in the tank. Father fish. Let's see. One Dirty Platy's talking about the Father Fish Facebook group that Tommy Denda's been working on. Mary Page is impressing upon everyone the importance. What's going on with my computer? The importance of hitting the like button. What is going on here? Huh. Well, this is odd. My computer is stuck in a mode that is not allowing me to get to any other window. So how do I do that exactly? Most peculiar. I can move, but that won't help. I don't know. Columnaris. Who's going to kill everything? I'm going to do something drastic. Yeah, Columnaris, I agree with you. Columnaris is dastardly stuff. I tend to take a rather draconian approach to Columnaris. I do two things. I treat with sulfa. I treat with sulfa drug of powdered sulfa, triple sulfa, preferably. Um, and I pull out every infected fish. I find once the fish get infected with it, they don't get better. So I think part of the control is simply getting rid of the transfer, getting rid of the infected fish that are transferring the disease to other fish. It's a bugger. It'll wipe out guppies, female guppies, and neons. Neon tetras are the worst for columnaris. It'll completely wipe out an entire population of neon guppies, of neons and guppies. Um, but again, when I see it, I begin pulling out the infected fish, just get them out of there immediately, and try to control that by the hour. Just sit on it really tight so that I can get it as clean as possible. And then I do also treat. The difficulty is it doesn't. You can't cure the fish once they have it. You can kill it while it's free swimming. So that's the trick to get the infected fish out so they're not continuing to infect the tank, and then killing the bacteria, virus, whatever it is that's in there. It's a bacteria that's free swimming. Yeah, Manoj is talking about controlling nitrates with floating plants. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. J Dog is saying it's what happens when you go to Petco instead of Father Fish for guppies. Well, yeah, it's what happens when the difficulty. Here's the problem with the big box stores, and I don't want to name any one because they all kind of operate on the same policy. And the policy is it's a policy based on Walmart and the Walmart return policy. The return policy of Walmart is predicated on the proposition that getting someone to come into the store will result in them buying 2 or 3 items that they did not come in the store to purchase. So, a return policy, particularly for an item that is virtually guaranteed to be returned, it promotes sales. Now, this policy is carried out to such an extent that in some of the big box stores, they have a corporate policy with their tropical fish to not allow the employees to treat tropical fish for sickness. They prefer to sell sick fish in order for them to be returned as dead fish or sick fish in order to increase sales. And it works. It's an effective policy. It's immoral. It's unethical. It's irresponsible. It's fundamentally disgusting, but they do it. So, you want to buy fish from someone who's taking care of their fish. It's really just that simple. And there are a few big box stores where there are occasional employees, associates, they call them, whatever, who take care of the fish. And some of them quit because they're not permitted to take care of the fish to the extent the fish require it. So just be aware of what you're dealing with. I think this message is a very difficult one to get out to the general public. It's one that people become aware of when they after they go through 2 or 3 tanks of dead fish and then in utter frustration find a father fish, a local fish store, find out what the truth is of the matter and begin learning how to take care of fish. Then they understand. But there's you have to go through a process to get there. We need to find ways to encourage people to short circuit those first couple of steps. And I think, frankly, the way to do it is to do what was finally done with Walmart, to get them out of the business of selling live fish. The big box stores have no business selling live fish. Now, here's the problem. My supplier, all of the big suppliers, depend for 75% of their sales on the big box stores. So it's a substantial economic motivation. And that's not likely to change unless we really can get local hobbyists who have been at this thing for 10 years or more, who know their way around the hobby, who have a heart for the hobby and for the fish and for children keeping fish, to begin impacting their local community with the right way to do things by opening a little shop, in their garage, wherever, whatever, however it can be done. That's ultimately what is absolutely required to save the hobby. And you don't do it to make money. Maybe you do it to cover the cost of your hobby, because it can just about do that. It's never going to make you rich. It won't really provide much of a secondary income. But if you're retired, living on a fixed income, and you've had fish for years and years, and you want to do fish in your retirement, open it up. Open it up to your local community. You can sell online. I mean, you can come here on YouTube. You can go to Aquavid, whatever, and sell online. You can do that. That's another level. But opening up your hobby room, your fish room, by promoting on Facebook, promoting here on YouTube, just whatever you can do to reach your local community. And it doesn't even need to be a store. It can simply be a fish room that friends are invited to come visit. And you sell a few fish out of it. You can do that licensed or not licensed. Depends in large measure on the extent to which you're doing it. If it's a rare and occasional thing, that's one thing. If you got people coming to the door routinely, then you probably need to consider getting a license and putting it in a place where it's legal to do that. But it's critical to do it. It's frankly the only way we're going to save this hobby. We've got to get knowledge and experience and wisdom into our local communities, into the lives. That's what made the hobby 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago. That's how the hobby thrived. For years and years, it thrived on men and women who cared about fish, who were interested in finding ways to reach into their community, to set up a little shop and sell their fish to their local community. I was talking with a good friend of mine a few years ago. We were chatting about how it was back in the 50s and 60s. And he said, "Do you know how many fish stores there were?" This was in Baltimore back in the 1960s. And I said, "No." He said, "There were 47. There were 47 legitimate tropical fish stores in Baltimore City in the 1960s. 47. Do you know how many there are today? One. There's one fish store. What's happened? Well, the fish are still there, or at least some of them, but all of the expertise, all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom is gone. And what's left is marketers huckstering tropical fish as baubles. They're not healthy. They don't have any sense of what they're doing with them. They do not train people, new people, on how to keep them. It is, in a word, a disaster. An absolute disaster. Now, I know there are some people in some big box stores that care about fish. God bless them. But that's not the rule. That's not the way it is in 999% of the cases. 99.9%. That's not the way it is. That's not what's being done. What's being done is huckstering. What's being done is mass marketing. What's being done is getting 1 million mollies in to a city in all of the big box stores, and in 48 to 72 hours, killing every one of them. Every one of them. And that goes on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And it's not going to change until people like you guys decide you're going to accept some responsibility for solving the problem and reach out to the children and families in your local community and say, "Come look at my fish. I will help you to set up a fish tank." And how do you do that? Facebook works. Just get out there, talk to people, invite people. If you don't want to bring people into your home, rent a little garage somewhere. I mean, do something. Do what you need to do to get people learning how to take care of fish. It isn't going to work any other way. We knew that we need those 47 stores back. We need them back. Because that's what's going to save the hobby. That's what's going to get the tank off the curb after the fish have been killed in it 2 or 3 times. By keeping the fish alive and keeping the tank in the home and giving people the confidence to have a second tank. So there's my rant for the day. Roger's Aquarium. Good morning, Roger. Paul C., good morning. Aquatic Conquest, fact check something. I don't know what. What is the? I don't need to go back and check on you, AC. I trust you implicitly. All right, let's move along here. It is the worst. I assume he's Color Guppies is talking about columnaris. I could not agree more. Columnaris is the worst. Let's see. Lee doesn't want to pull out the grass because he'll make a mess. Well, you can certainly do that, Lee. But if you will kind of jiggle the plants just jiggle it to break the. What you're really doing by jiggling it is you're breaking the roots loose from the soil before you even pull it out. If you'll jiggle it a bit and then slowly lift it out, you're not going to make a mess. There'll be a little puff, just a tiny puff. It won't really amount to much. I mean, don't go just grabbing it and hauling it out. Be delicate about it. Jiggle it a little bit. Get the roots loose from the substrate. They're attached to it. So you want to by moving them a little, they actually break loose from the substrate, and then you can kind of slip it out gently. Try that and see if it works. You can do what you suggest; it'll work just fine. Um, you're not killing the plant by doing it. You're just getting rid of some of the leaves on the plant. I've never done that. It's certainly an appropriate way to do it. Don't break them off from the middle, obviously. Break them off from the outside because those are the oldest ones. And the oldest leaves are the ones that are most replaceable. Hi, Betsy. Good morning. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good to see you.
Me too.
I'm all right, I think. Cassie B. Oh, let's see. Aquatic Conquest said it gave me bad advice about cyano. It grew back within a day of adding more sand and lives on my floating plant's root systems. Not all, but some. Well, yeah, it does, and it will. Eventually, it'll go away. Cyano is not a permanent problem. If you work at it persistently, there are a number of things you need to do. You need to remove what you can physically with a net or a siphon. You need to do water changes in order to bring down the phosphate and nitrate levels in the water. You need to feed substantially less than you're feeding. I did water changes. I like to add sand, but it has to be done in conjunction with several other things, of which that's one. What else? He used to have a list of 5 things that you do to get rid of cyano in a saltwater tank. And those are 4, I guess, or maybe 3. I forgot. Water changes, manually cleaning, feeding less, adding more plants, adding more floating plants or other kind of plants that take nitrates and phosphates out of the water provides competition for the cyano. So there's a 4th. And there's a 5th one in there somewhere. It won't come to me right now, but it's a process. And it takes a little time for it to really take effect. But I've never seen cyano be a permanent condition in a tank. It flourishes, and then as other things happen in the tank, it'll go away or be reduced to a negligible issue. So don't get upset about it. It's not destructive. It's not going to kill anything. It's not terrible. It just looks nasty, and it ain't all that pleasant. But take a few steps to resolve the issue that's causing it. I guess that's kind of the bottom line. You can physically remove it, cap it, cover it up, but until you resolve what's causing it, which is mainly competition. Here's the deal. In any system, one thing becomes dominant. And over a period of time, there's this struggle between whatever that is that's dominant and something else. It's competitive. It's competition. There's natural competition among everything in life. Life is competition. Living things in the tank are in competition with each other. It's a continuing struggle to achieve dominance. There's very, very few things that are happy being way down here in a corner and just minimally surviving. Not much does that, and not much does it for very long. If it does it, it's going to become extinct. It's going to die out and won't be able to replace itself. In order for it to replace itself, it's got to achieve some level of dominance over the other influences in its immediate environment. So plants are like that too. Plants seek dominance. They seek to get more of the light. They try to get and grow above each other. And cyanosia is one of those things that achieves dominance at a given point in time because there's nothing else in there yet that's vibrant enough and strong enough to be able to overcome it, to overwhelm it. But it will. It'll happen. And if you add more plants, that'll do it. There are lots of other ways to do that too, but think of it that way and think of your tank that way as all of the life forms that are in there seeking to achieve, they're in competition with each other. They're not trying to kill each other necessarily. They're not bad people. They're nice people, but they want to get along and they want to be strong and they want to be healthy. Okay? They're when I talk about equilibrium, it's a little unfair. When I talk about balance, that's a little unfair because none of that equilibrium or balance is permanent. Nothing stays just right there forever. It's one of the difficulties with so-called environmental policy. It assumes that everything can remain absolutely stable and absolutely the same permanently, and that's crap. Nothing does. Nothing does. Something is always going to get a little stronger and be able to overcome, use up more of the resources and become stronger and healthier. If that's done in an environment that provides adequate nutrition for everything without overwhelming the process, then you've got a flourishing community. And yes, that pertains to people too. Absolutely. So, all right, now Cassie B, you just blew my mind. You're saying, so I should feed every 2 days instead of every other day. I should read the rest of your comment, shouldn't I? And keep removing floating plants that have the cyano. I'll soon have no more floating plants. I'll add more plants too. Yes, do. Should feed every 2 days instead of every other day. Yes, feed every 2 days instead of every other day. Or feed every other day instead of every 2 days. You can do that too, actually. You can do either one. You can either feed every other day or you can feed every 2 days. Or you can feed every 3 days, but that's a completely different matter. We're a little off track here. Oh dear. Manoj is feeding once a week. That works too, Manoj. If you got a balanced tank, it's providing food for the fish. This is Peterson's chapter on lobsters. Competition. He made an interesting comment in a recent interview I watched, in which he said anthropomorphizing animals is something that animal behaviorists do all the time because it's perfectly natural and normal to do that. The dynamics, and what he was saying, is that the dynamics of animals and their relationship with each other is consistent on every level of of life. All right, we got to go back and pick up some of this stuff. Pablo is saying, I rearranged these, still behave that way. Minaj. Ready-made food adds lots of phosphates. Change to natural food. Excellent advice, Minaj. And a perfect illustration of why to do natural food instead of prepared foods. Excellent. And Aquatic Conquest says, either way, it's good. Ha. And Pablo says, add a mystery snail. Let's see. Oh, dear. Cassie B, I have excess phosphates, no nitrates. Can't measure the phosphates. Yeah, good point. There are a lot of things you can't measure. You can't really measure the biology. I mean, if you've got Petri dishes and know how to categorize bacteria, you can do it. I don't know how to do that. I get 5 different colors, and I say, wow, I got 5 different colors. No idea what that means. Never took a course in microbiology. Hello, Joanna. Nice to see you. Let's see. Lee Wilcox. So fatherfish is a palindrome for FFS, which is what he tells me after he told me what to do and it did the opposite. Well, yeah, there is that. Oh, I don't think I need to go back here. Minaj. That's interesting. I don't think so. He's saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but plants are the first ones to take up nutrients before algae. So plants can suffocate algae and not the other way around. I don't think so. I think they take up nutrients equally. It's simply a matter of achieving dominance. Obviously, a plant that can shade another is going to get more sunlight, and by getting bigger, get more nutrients than the one below it. And algae tends to be on the bottom of everything. So while it's on the top, it's in control. But the minute you get something covering it, then it's no longer in control, and it begins to be able to absorb less and less. So I think it's kind of like that. Think of it in terms of competition. I think I haven't focused on that. I haven't really thought about it until I watched that Peterson video recently. But competition really is the key to understanding what's going on in the fish tank. So think of it that way. The other issue is the source of nutrients. And that's one of the key elements in the deep sand bed or the deep substrate, is that it keeps a substantial portion of the nutrients essentially out of the water column, which makes that water column more of a nutrient desert than the substrate. which is more of a nutrient jungle, if you will, an Amazon forest. So you get root plant growth that's going into the water column and shading the water column and having that kind of an effect. You have floating plants that depend entirely on the nutrient level in the water column for their survival. So there's really no competition between those water plants and the rooted plants. They're getting their nutrients, their food from two entirely different places. So they're in balance with each other. So you can get algae that way if you've got a high level of nutrients in the water column and no other floating plants, but a lot of rooted plants. Because rooted plants are not substantially impacting the nutrient level in the water column. They're impacting the nutrient level in the substrate. So you need floating plants to deal with that, or not floating plants if you have a very, very low level of nutrient in the water column. So water changes are one way to cope with that. Water changes reduce the amount of nutrients in the water column. They don't really reduce the nutrients in the substrate. Cassie B, we did that. Let's see. Cassie B, I love feeding my fish. I know. We all do. We all do. Well, and I think that's why you really need to be feeding live food. Because by feeding live food, number one, not all of it gets eaten. Some of it's going to escape. And number two, it's not going to immediately create a foul condition in the fish tank. Daphne, microworm, mosquito larvae, blackworm, just anything you can find by putting a tub outside. A simple thing like that, just putting a tub, throwing a handful of dirt in it and putting it outside, you will automatically grow all kinds of food in that tub that your fish will adore. If you've got big fish, then you already know about feeding feeder fish. You can go down to the local ditch, the local pond, the local creek, and catch little fish to feed to your bigger fish. Feed live food whenever you can. It's obviously more interesting than feeding a bunch of dried flakes. The fish will like it better. It'll be better for them, and it's frankly better for your system. And it provides the added benefit of, over time, creating a culture, a natural culture in the tank that's providing that food on a continuing basis for your fish. So if you've got a lot of cover, like Lee's tank, with a lot of plants, and you're putting Daphne in there routinely, would not suggest mosquito larvae or blackworms, providing that enough of those will escape and culture that it'll provide a continuing source of food for your fish. And you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to observe your fish feeding naturally, poking under leaves and whatnot to find little copepods or little Daphne or whatever. little worms in the substrate. It's a great way to feed Cory cats. Corys love to burrow into the sand, looking for little worms and other little microscopic stuff. And some stuff not so microscopic. So, try to do that. Try to find ways to feed natural food to your fish. It's easy to cultivate, it's not difficult, it's not complicated. And the more you do it, the more you learn about how to do it. There are a number of videos on YouTube about culturing live foods. Watch some of them and learn how to do some of that. The farmers in Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, all throughout the Fertile Crescent, who are raising fish, have small 1-acre farms. In the middle of the farm is a pond. They have cattle, maybe a cow. They have maybe sheep or goats. They have ducks, chickens. They have fish as well. Some in the pond, some in tanks. Everything washes into, they have gardens. It all washes into the pond. And the pond develops this very rich culture of Daphne. The Daphne are fed to the fish. Every single one of these farmers are feeding natural food. Their fish are beautiful. Their fish have very rich colors, particularly fish like the bettas. The farmers in the Orient who are growing bettas have the most spectacular bettas because they get natural food and it doesn't cost them anything. They do it on these little tiny plots of land that we would not know how to grow ear corn on. And they're making a living. They're subsisting on these little plots of land and producing some absolutely beautiful tropical fish. Daphne are probably the single most universal food in the world for tropical fish. And it's rare that it's fed routinely here in this country because we are so addicted to prepared foods. And prepared foods are by and large really not healthy. They're really not. Certainly not as healthy as live foods. Cassie B saying my son leaves little tubs outside, and after a week they're mosquito larvae. Hard to catch them out of there. They shouldn't be. If you have another one, just pour it through a net. Pour the whole thing through a net, and you can feed that. Use a larger net. Don't use, whenever you hear, pay attention to this. Whenever you're using a net, a fish net, to catch anything, you want to have 3 different nets. You want to have a little tiny net, you want to have a middle-sized net, and you want to have a large net. If you're going into a container to try to catch something like mosquito larvae, use the large net, the largest one that'll fit, and just do a single scoop. Go boom, like that. You'll get 90% of what's in there. If you're trying to catch a fish in a planted tank, don't use the little net. You're going to chase them all over the place, and you're going to tear up your tank. It'll make a mess. Use the big net. Get the big net, put it in one end, bring it toward the front, try to get them up against the glass, and then get them to dart into the net and pull it up real quick. You can do that without messing up your plants. And it works. It works really well. It's really effective. It's very, very simple. Mary Page saying, leave that aquarium alone. It's beautiful. I know. He's such a fuss budget. He just wants to do everything. Wants to get this thing in there, fix it. It needs to be fixed. Fix it. Stop his fixing. Don't need to be fixed. That's not what needs fixing. All right. I remember Lee did a video way back when in which he was very, very upset with me. And he said, you've ruined the hobby for me. Ruined it, Father Fish. I can no longer go in my tank and move things around. I don't know what to do. And my advice was you take the next step in your evolution of fish tanks, and you learn to meditate on your fish. You learn to observe them. You learn to sit for hours and watch them. And I think that worked for a while. But Lee's like a lot of us, wants to get his hand there and do something. And that's okay, because it's your creation. You just want to make sure what you're doing is not gonna wipe out everything, or that your goal is not to kill half of what's in there. I got to admit that tank is overgrown. I wholeheartedly agree, and I'll tell you, with those Vallisneria grown the way they are magnificent. But those suckers have got to be 5 foot long. I've never seen any. Well, I have seen it. I've had them here. I've had them get that big. They're beautiful, but you need something really big to display them. They just kind of wrap around and around and around on the top of the tank. I think the reality is there's not a whole lot you can do about that. I mean, you can thin it out a bit, but the difficulty with doing that is that you're, again, changing the balance of life in the tank when you do it, and you're injecting yourself at a point where where there's going to be a number of effects from what you do, and they may not always be desirable. So you need to be cautious. Taking out a few leaves here and there is fine. That's reasonable. And probably your approach to take out some of the old leaves is really not a bad one at all, because that will promote new growth. It'll remove some of the impaction, if you will, in the tank. Yeah, it is an incredible aquarium, isn't it? Lee's like a cat on a hot tin roof. You need to, Lee. You need to move forward with getting a house. This needs not to take another year. You'll make yourself nuts in the meantime. You need to move forward. Put your energy in finding a place to move to, where you're going to be able to have your garden and your fish room and have the kind of life that you both really want and cherish. It's nice where you are. It's a sweet spot, and it's helped for a season. But it really is time to move on, and you know that. Just get on it and do it. If you can get in there before Sue's retired, so much the better. That should not slow you down. Just put your energy into that, because that's going to achieve the long-term results that you're looking for. Minaj. Father Fish, about floating plants. If a water column has less nutrients, means floating plants would not grow nicely. So does it mean floating plants growing at a less speed equals sand bed is perfect? I'm not sure I really get the the point you're trying to make. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both and. Um, all right, here's an issue. If your floating plant is duckweed, we've all experienced this who've had duckweed. We love the duckweed. It's pretty, it's floating, it's looking wonderful. And then we go back and notice it's doubling every day. It's like the sorcerer's apprentice. Starts out with a few leaves, and then a few more, and then a few more. And before long, it's covering the surface. And then it's getting thicker. It's growing up. It's getting so thick that eventually nothing else is able to live in the tank. And we've all experienced, or a lot of us have experienced that. So that occurs because of the nutrient level. And here's what happens. As the duckweed increases, it's suffocating the light from getting to the other plants, the rooted plants, and they're dying off. And as they die, they provide more nutrition for, guess what? For the duckweed. So the duckweed becomes the big winner in this competition. He's killing off his competition, and he's enjoying the fruits of his labor. He's getting stronger and healthier because he's killed everything else off and is absorbing its nutritional value. So you control that obviously by getting the duckweed out, but that's not the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution is to provide some other kinds of floating plants or plants like Anubias, Java fern, those kinds of things, Java moss, some other kinds of plants, Riccia, that are going to compete with the duckweed. It's competition. It really is competition. That's really what it's all about. Minaj talking about lettuce as floating plant and then mentions frogbit. I like frogbit. Frogbit's a cool little plant. Are they called duckweed because when you approach the aquarium and pick in, they peek in? No, they don't. They actually will stick in your eye, given the opportunity. If you touch them, they'll stick to you. You'll have them all over your arms. If you put your arm in the tank, they'll get in your beard. They'll get on your face. They will land and cover everything, and that's what they do. They're like parasites. They get wherever they can get, and they grow there. If I had them in my beard and didn't wash my beard for a week, it would be green with duckweed, providing enough. If I kept it wet, it would be green with duckweed. They love to grow, and they love to just duplicate. A duckweed, a single leaf of duckweed. Here you go. It's like ick. Duckweed is like ick. A single leaf of duckweed, day one in your tank. And it might be microscopic. We've got a new duckweed that is damn near microscopic. It is so tiny. It looks like just a little tiny green dot. Day 2. Day 4. Day 3. Day 4. And day 5 is 16. And then 32. And 64. And 128. And before long, it's doubling every day. And it gets to the point where it's covering your tank and growing deeper in your tank. And it's just a monster. It is a monster. Salvinia will do the same thing. I've seen Salvinia do that. I've seen Salvinia get thick, and it actually changes its physical structure and becomes a vertical kind of a plant. Mary Page Lynn, love you, Lee, and you can do tutorials on how you set up your tanks. You'll be competition for MD fish tanks. One of my other favorites. Me too. Love his tanks. I'm going to take a break here a minute, guys. I gotta do a pit stop. I will be back momentarily. Let's put a song on. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not getting. I don't know what's happening. Exactly. I'm not. Oh, here we go. Okay. I got it now. Let's do new tab. Let's do Father Fish. Let's go down to Sing Along. And let's play Lee.
Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. I think that one will do. I'll play it back and I'll see what I think. I think it's probably the nuts. And that'll be the one. And you can play around with all of it and decide what you want to do in your production stream for Savada Fish.
Yeah. That was pretty good timing. Let's see now. Let's do this.
I found my way to Father Fish. He comes on in the morning every day. Add some soil, cap it with sand, then add plants. He will help you do it the right way. Add some fish, then walk away. Feed them high quality food. My food is best. Keep it dirty, keep it all natural. I found my way back to Father Fish. Bye.
Nice. Very sweet, Cassie B. Did not get a strike. I'm concerned about it because the song uses original soundtrack, and we're using it not as an occasional piece, but essentially as a theme song. So it has the potential for a strike, and I just want to try to avoid the potential for that, given the predilection YouTube has for nailing people on use of music. Let's see. Oh dear. Oh really? A karaoke version. That's interesting. I was wondering about that. Well, I don't know. I tell you what. Why don't you post the karaoke version? Or at least post the notation on the description of the video. And then that'll duplicate, that'll carry over. If you have that in notation, then maybe we'll be covered. I didn't realize you had done that. That may be adequate to deal with this issue. I was kind of wondering about it because I listened to the original video, which is really quite long. I don't know how long it is, but 5 minutes or more. It's a long piece. Let's do that, Lee. Let's post the detail of the karaoke version you've got with the purchase, or who you purchased it from, what it is, and so forth, and just put that in the description section of the video, and let's see if it comes up. We'll refer to that to the extent we can. Let's not delete it quite yet. Let's try that. It's a wonderful piece, and I know everybody really enjoys it. We need a lawyer on here who knows how to deal with these issues, understands them. I think the difficulty is that anybody can sue over anything at any time. It's not a matter of avoiding a lawsuit. It's a matter of winning one, and I don't even want to be up against one. So I don't know quite what to do about it. I know Mary Page is saying, every time I hear you say Mary, Lee, it makes me smile. Yeah, I know. That's why I keep it in. It's just so nice. Oh, let's go down to the bottom here and see where we're at. Susan is here. Hi, Susan. You can contest the strikes. It may work and it may not. Well, so the question, you get 3 strikes and you're out. So the question is, do we want to take the risk of a strike that we lose? And it certainly would be a a learning experience, wouldn't it? Let's do it. My sense is if we've got legitimate use, and we're simply playing someone else's video, and that's your video, then the strike would really be against you, I would assume, and not against Father Fish. But I don't know about that either. I mean, the whole thing's a little weird. Um, the fact that it is a version of the music that you paid for, that you purchased for your personal use, and you made a video of it, and I'm replaying the video. Let's go for it and see what happens. If we get a strike, we'll appeal the strike. And if we lose the strike, then we'll know. I think it's sufficiently strong and of sufficient joy in our streams that if we can find a way to keep it, we should. So let's just give it a go and see what happens. I'm good with that. If you're good with that, Lee, then let's do it. Warning, yeah, warnings don't count. If we get a warning, then we'll just a warning. Warning is a share, I think, or maybe that's something else. I've had a couple of shares, and I don't mind those at all. If it comes to a share, I'm okay with that too. Joanna, don't copyright people have bigger fish to fry. No, they don't. They will get children at a birthday party singing happy birthday. So let's just give it a go and see what happens. Ha! Minaj is saying he's scared of duckweed. As well, you should be. I'll tell you what about duckweed, the goldfish love it. They love it. I feed duckweed to my koi and my goldfish. Rohan spotted aquatic plants in a canal that looks like Val. Nice. It could be Sag. That's a great plant. Well, let's bring on some more too, Lee. I'm for that too. Cassie B saying some people copy and they'll get in trouble. True enough. Lee's saying you may have bought a scam tune. Well, you never know, I guess. I know Mary Page is planning to do a song, and I need to do something. And I think there are others among us who would like to do something. So I think you've started a process, Lee, with your piece that has created more and will create even more. So let's go with that too, and we'll just keep it in their library. I love Cassie B's and Roxanne's songs. I think they're really sweet, and just real appropriate. So let's try to get some more. Oh, a good goldfish food beside duckweed. Gee whiz. there are a lot of commercial foods. I think pellets tend to be better than flake. I don't much like flake. Um, Natural food, any kind of green. If you put spinach in a blender or zucchini, those are the kinds of things that goldfish and koi really love. It's any kind of vegetable matter. They'll chew on leaves too. Any kind of plant you put in there. Chop up lettuce, romaine, anything like that. I feed romaine to mine as well, and they'll chew it up. Cassidy is arguing someone's position. Made my own artwork, read the copyright for the original. It said you can make your own, so I did. It got taken down anyway. So even if you're following the rules, you may still have to argue your position. True enough. Well, yeah, I just every single day, if I do a live stream without putting it up first, it will be contested automatically for monetization. And I request a review, and it always is approved. But in the meantime, I've lost 90% of the value of that stream, and that's just routine. Oh, I want. Yeah, I will, Mary Page. You want to look at that? Since it's an old tune from when I was a kid. Yeah, it's called Salt Pepper. Let's talk about sex. That's what it's from. Where we got? We have a $5 super chat here from One Dirty Platty. Let's see if I can find it. I've lost a whole lot of commentary here. I'm not finding. Oh. Here it is. One Dirty Platty, $5. Thank you for the super chat. He says it's not Lee's fault. He thought of Salt and Pepper were Corridora breeders. Thanks for all the wisdom. He probably did. No, he's Lee is sufficiently canny. I'll use that word, canny, to know exactly what he's doing. Hoo bit. There's the karaoke version. That karaoke issue is interesting. That may really be the solution, because that's what karaoke is for, is to be able to do this kind of use, I would assume. Yeah, 8 out of 10 times in review you win. I win every single time on review. Not lost one. Aquatic Conquest, I have 18,000 views. On a mix, I get flagged a few times, although I paid for the music to use in the first place. It's still available, but not monetized. Crested Java fern is the only plant, D3V says in his goldfish pond, that does not get eaten. Susan, yogos are swimming from one cave to the other. Are the eggs scattered? Hard to say. I've been talking to some people lately who are breeding loaches, and it is kind of strange behavior. So just keep an eye open. The babies are going to be really, really tiny. Bug bite granules, Mary's saying. Commercial food. I've never tried it. I was talking to a friend of mine who has another shop, and he ordered it. He's got a bunch of it in. It never sells. And he had to buy, I don't know, their entire line in order to be able to carry it. So it's sitting on the shelf going bad. I offered to buy it from him. He's not ready to do that quite yet. But he's found that it's not a big seller for him. Mary Page's working on one. Says, I'll send it to you, Lee. Please don't tell anyone. When you hear me soon, you probably won't. Well, we all know where that goes. Susan, the issue is people in other countries are claiming copyright to music lyrics and even portions of the musical work. I've removed portions of my audio to allow for monetization. Interesting. Lee AC knew the song when I messed with it. I told him all about it and how I did it. I don't know. Enough about all this. Let's scoot to the bottom here. Where are we at? We're at about 10 minutes of 10. I did not get a warning, Lee. Abolish Farm surrounding the hashtag. Hashtag parody and Father Fish. That's interesting. Hashtag parody. Huh. Zimrian is here talking about his dirty dog. Yeah. Rowan saying there's brown algae in my tanks where there's minimal lighting. That's fairly typical. Try to improve the light there. Thank you again, One Dirty Planet. Appreciate your donation to the cause. Thank you. All right. Joanna asking Lee to do the song a cappella. We're going to try using it. I don't see. We've done it 25 times. And I was not aware until yesterday that it was not original. So I'm just being apprehensive. It's me. It's not anything or anybody else. So let's go with it and see what happens. But we'll put it in the list. We'll put it in the loop. So the more we get, the less it'll be played. Ches has a question. Let me see if I can find it. What's your experience with CO2 injection in higher pH aquariums? Well, it brings it down. Depending on why it's high, it'll go back up. Typically will. So you get a kind of a sine curve with it. Depends how you use CO2 as well. At its height, it'll drive pH down, but then as it's being used up, the pH will come back up. It's rarely much of a problem. Depends how you use it. Just track it. I don't do it because I don't want to have to track pH. 2 more likes to 50. Are we there? Let's see if we're there. To track pH. 2 more likes to 50. Are we there? Let's see if we're there. We're at 52. And mine makes it 53. Yeah, Ches, I think buffing it won't prevent the drop, but it'll give you more of a sine curve. It's not anybody but me, Lee. It's just me. Nobody has said anything. I caught your comment at the end of yesterday's live stream where you mentioned where you got the tune from, and I looked it up and found it, and my concern is simply grown out of that. Now that I know that you actually bought the tune, I feel comfortable with it. If it comes to an issue, we'll deal with it. So not to worry. I like it. I love it. Everybody else does too. We're going to keep it. Let's see. Abolished farms. Any special steps I should take for a tank next to the window, my 55, getting a lot of bacterial or algae bloom. It's got lots of plants and understocked at the moment. Well, overstock it. Just put a lot more plants in it. Oh. All right. We've been through all this. I'm down at the bottom. Yeah. Are plecos better at eating algae than Pandagara? I guess it depends on how hungry they are. They both eat it. Plecos tend to be bigger than Pandagara, so they can eat more. Pandagara also like to crawl out of the tank. Chaz, good idea. Check into CO2 and get back to us. All right, I've gone back. Let's see. What I could do is jump kind of midway back and pick up some stuff I've lost along the way. Did I hear Father Fish has t-shirts, Joanna? No, not yet. We have mugs right now. Mug. I also have stickers somewhere here. And I've got bumper stickers. So when you get a mug, you get free stickers and a free bumper sticker or two. Lee. Had an aunt called Daphne. She had whiskers. She smelled like fish, and she'd always insist on a kiss on the lips when she came to visit us. But it was okay. Lovely, in fact, because she always gave me money. So what did I learn from that? I learned to take money for kisses. Now we know, Lee. Now we know the roots of your corruption. Mary, we're going to look at your. Let's see. Let's just do it. Shall we do it? Mary Page. We got just enough time to do it. Let's get over here. YouTube. Mary Page. At the creek.
And my daughter and I had made it out here to the creek, and we found our first little inhabitant.
And it decided it wanted on my foot.
It's nothing funnier than looking down. It's kind of like, when you get a bug on you and you want to jump. I didn't catch her squealing, but we just
didn't know what it was.
we're out here, and it's just beautiful. It's been years since my daughter and I have done anything like this.
Okay.
Oh, right there. Oh,
Oh, there's two of them.
and there they went.
And one went. Here's the other. I said they like to be in the rocks.
Uh-oh. Where is it?
It's a little crayfish.
Oh, you're blocking it. Oh, there it is.
There he is. Oh, look at that. How cool is that?
There's one they're just walking around. Doing their own little thing.
So here's the thing. People wonder where you find your inspiration for paludariums and aquascaping and your aquariums. Little baby one. Oh, this is too much fun. We were talking about how a lot of us got into the aquarium hobby as kids, playing in a creek, flipping over rocks. We were just talking about this on Father Fish the other day.
There he is. Oh, quit flopping.
Here's our crawdad dog, Scruffy.
Watch well. What is it? Look. There it is.
Gee, one dirty planet.
And, what do you look to? What inspires you? I lived here for 30 years, and this is one thing that inspires me.
Yeah, one dirty planet. Go
It's
ahead and
beautiful.
do that.
This is
Just
a
make a
limestone bed.
That'll be fine.
It's a channel that's basically been chiseled out by the water over the years. It's a solid stone bed.
Down to bedrock.
See, I keep finding rocks like this, though, and I'm just wondering, is it, look, there's a salamander. Little salamander. See? If I can catch him.
All right. Well, that'll be great fun. We need to go. This is about 14 minutes long, so we need to go check this out and take a look at the rest of it. Looks like fun. Looks like you had a great time. Let's see. Hey, Chubbs, Iro. You following me? I'm about off here. We're at 10:02. We're going to wrap it up. Let's see. You know what I think I'll do? Let me let me go over. And we're going to play. Roxanne's not here today. I hope she's okay. We played her for the opening. So let's play Cassie B. Thank you, Betsy. Here we go.
Hello, Mary.
Cassie B. Give her twice today.
Found my way. I found my way to Father Fair.
Thank you, One Dirty Platty. Very much. That's
He
very
comes
generous
on
of you and
in the morning
deeply appreciated.
every day. Add some soil, cap it with sand, then add plants. He will help you do it the right way. Add some fish, then walk away. Feed them high quality food. Thy food is best. Keep it dirty, keep it all natural.
Thank you, One Dirty Platty. Bye-bye, everybody.
My way
Love you
back
all.
to
Nice to be with you.
Father Fair.
And thank you, Cassie B.
Bye, all.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Let's start
folks.
caring for aging parents, helping them live independently.
Bless you all. See you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.